Yesterday, Monday morning, I was talking to our staff about a bunch of things. Candor, I was talking to them about, and then I was talking to them about processes, like dying to the processes. As our company is scaling up, one of the things that I shared with them as my experience is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is that you don't follow one of our processes. So we've been at this for 15, 16 years. So we've got processes for everything. The worst thing in the world that can happen to you is that you didn't follow a process and it didn't bite you in the ass. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen. The reason for that is that one of the things that I've observed over the years is that as revenue increases, it pushes on infrastructure. And when infrastructure is being pushed on, the stress of that, a lot of times guys will take shortcuts, right? It's human nature. We're going to look for the path of least resistance, a shortcut, what people perceive to be a shortcut. When I've taken shortcuts, it's just a slight erosion or compromise of a system or process, and then nothing happens. It worked, right? Everything went as planned. And then you have weeks where it's like 3 different departments have failure, and you autopsy those failures, and you're like, oh my gosh, in all 3 departments, somebody didn't follow a process and now it's catching up to you. So it bites you in the ass in really interesting ways. You have weeks where everything is going smoothly, and then you have a week where it's like a shit show and you're like, what just happened? When we autopsy what just happened, it's 3 different departments that didn't follow a process or a procedure, and it bit them in the ass all at the same time. So then you have these weeks and you're like, what in the world? We've been at this for 15, 16 years, and we have guys that aren't following systems and processes. And my experience again is as growth happens, as revenue increases and it puts pressure on the infrastructure, and guys just kind of default. I default to the path of least resistance, which is typically a compromise of a system or process. And again, the worst thing in the world that happens when you compromise a system and a process, the worst thing is nothing happens. The worst thing to happen is nothing happens, right? Then all of a sudden you develop that habit of compromising that system and process. And then my experience as an owner, leader, is that all of a sudden it compiles, and then you have, like I said, 3 departments that all have failure in 1 week, and you're like, what in the world is going on? Well, when I autopsy those things, what has been going on is there's a compromise of the systems and processes. So again, what I said to my staff is the worst thing that can happen from you not following a system or process is that nothing adverse happens, which means it's just a matter of time before it's going to happen in multiple departments. That's been my experience with it.